Bollywood films are even more popular internationally now than when I was a teenager. Commercial Hindi language cinema is well known for its color, music, and dialogues. But it's also increasingly sexist. That's the suggestion in a study looking at gender equality in Bollywood. The renowned Tata Institute of Social Sciences found, for instance, that 85% of leads in box office topping films were played by men. Women were primarily cast as romantic interests of the lead actors. But that's not all. Authors of the study also revealed that in mainstream films, women are generally thin and beautiful and wear revealing clothing. Add to that dance, music, and big sets, and you have the makings of a box office film, like this one. A taste of Bollywood there. But let's get more on this from DW reporter Nehal Johri, who's been monitoring this story for us. Nehal, welcome. Is Bollywood sexist?
That would be a big yes, at least if we're going by the report from Tata Institute of Social Sciences. But let's take a step back and look at the evidence that they've actually provided. So they've analyzed 35 films, 25 blockbusters from the year of 2019, and certain women-centric films taken from 2012 to 2019. And when they analyze these movies shot by shot, what they see is that of all the characters present on screen, only 23% of them are actually women. So 76% is men. Now, so women aren't just underrepresented on screen. What happens is when they're actually on screen, they're also stereotyped. So they're always, especially lead characters are always thin and fair. And if you just look around and see your own Indian friends, you know, we don't all look like that. and the problem then extends to people who are working behind the screen. So the crew itself. In these 35 movies, there were 4,000 women involved behind the scene, but 26,000 men. 4,000, 26,000, that's a big difference. Then you look at the Central Board of Film Certification, only 14% of the board is female. Then you come down to awards, and women simply win less. And what they also find is that women win less in roles that are gender neutral, such as a cinematographer.
And has this been the experience, your experience as well, when you've watched Bollywood films?
Definitely. Bollywood has always been sexist. And I mean, let's just take the example of a recent movie called Kabir Singh. It's a movie starring Shahid Kapoor, who's a big actor, and he's a senior medical college student in this case. He finds a junior student from the first year extremely attractive and starts to aggressively pursue her. We see scenes like, you know, in the very first conversation he has with her, he kisses her and she looks extremely awkward. She's sitting on a park bench and studying. He comes and simply lays his head on her lap. And it's extremely awkward to watch her squirming and squiggling, but she's not able to do anything because he's a senior, he's a bully, he's abusive. And you would think that he's the villain of the film, but he's not, he's the hero. And so in all of these scenes, when he's harassing her, music breaks out and it looks like a romantic scene. And this is deeply problematic because people who are watching this think this is romance, this is how you get a girl. And this movie caused a lot of outcry in India as well. It was called one of the most misogynistic films of its times. And yet, it racked up so many views that it was the second biggest hit of 2019.
A blockbuster based on misogyny. Why is it like that?
Well, there's no denying that there's a lot of patriarchy in Indian society, but things are also changing, and Bollywood doesn't reflect that. For instance, in the last years, the laws that govern how consent is defined has been improved. It's become much clearer. Bollywood doesn't reflect that. Homosexuality was decriminalized in 2018, but where are our LGBTQ characters, right? So Bollywood simply hasn't kept up. And I spoke to Dr. Lakshmi Lingam, who is the project leader of the TISS study, and she said that another major factor at play is profits. So what brings the big bucks is governed by a certain winning formula. Let's listen to her as she talks about it.
You know, one always wonders, you know, why do these films carry on with these cliches? And then you also hear many of these directors, particularly male directors, saying that's the winning formula. But actually, many of their films also bomb, you know. So it means that's not really a winning formula, number one. And number two, during COVID, when no theatrical releases happened, people's viewing habits completely changed. Not only they started watching things on the OTT, but people also started watching films from other parts of the world and also from other parts of the country.
Very interesting stuff there. So is there an incentive to change?
There is, and it's actually coming from the audiences, as Dr. Lingam said. You know, they started watching movies during the COVID lockdown on Netflix, Amazon Prime, also Hotstar, which is available in India. And this opened up a whole field of, you know, movies from abroad, movies from other parts of India, which represent women completely differently. And so there's been this new perception of what women can do on screen, how can LGBTQ characters be represented, and how can women actually call out sexism and misogyny on screen. So people just want more, and this winning formula, as Dr. Lingam said, is simply not working that well.
Are there any films that are working that don't follow this winning formula?
There are some. Just bear in mind that they don't solve all of the problems. So, for instance, there was Mardani with the actress Rani Mukherjee, where she played a tough police official. There was Dear Zindagi with Alia Bhatt, where she played a young woman struggling with her mental health issues. And this is the first film in Indian cinema that has portrayed counseling and therapy in such positive light. There was also Mission Mangal, which depicted a lot of women scientists. But remember, all three movies, the ones that I mentioned, were part of this study. So they haven't really solved the problem. They're a part of it, but they do provide moments where patriarchy is questioned or other social norms are mentioned. So there is a beacon of hope there, right? Like, women-centric movies are being made and people want to watch different films. So those put together, maybe there's a possibility of Bollywood being less sexist in the future.
We have about a minute left. What are the long-term fixes to these problems?
Well, you know, the study has already provided such a big part of the fix, which is acknowledging and quantifying a problem that we have all known has always existed. And that's a start to fixing any problem in society. So they've put numbers to the problem. Now what comes next is taking those numbers to the industry. And they've already started doing that. Dr. Lingam and her team are having conversations at film schools, talking to students, young script writers, talking about the problem, looking at how we can fix it. They're also setting up meetings with the Screenwriters Guild of India, presenting the results at a film festival. And so we can expect a lot of conversations, and hopefully that will lead to some real change where, well, let's say, hopefully Bollywood is less sexist or not sexist at all.
Nehal, we'll leave it there. Thanks so much for coming into the studio to break that down for us. Thanks so much.